where you hacked and didn't know it? How society invented yourself? Hey, how's it going? Have you ever stopped to think about your favorite song, the clothes you wear, the memes that make you laugh? And have you wondered, do I really like this, or do I like it because I'm supposed to? Today we're not going to answer that question. We're going to do something much wilder. We're going to embark on a journey, a descent through 5 levels of knowledge that will completely change the way you see yourself. I promise you that when we're done, that simple question will seem like the door to an entire universe. Level 1, the surface everyone knows. Come on, let's start with the easy stuff, what we've all experienced. Trends. The sneakers suddenly everyone's wearing, the TikTok dance you see everywhere, the haircut flooding your Instagram. These are obvious influences, right? We see something repeated many times and a part of our brain says, hey, maybe I want that too. It's the first brick in the building of our social identity. And alongside trends, there's their close cousin, peer pressure. But I'm not just talking about the movie version of all your friends smoke. I'm talking about something more subtle. Have you ever said you liked a movie that you actually found boring just because your whole group loved it? That small gesture, that mini lie, is peer pressure in action. It's the fear of being odd, of being left out of the conversation. It's a very powerful driver in our daily lives. Now let's travel back in time a bit to your own origin story. Why do you support a specific soccer team? Or why do you hold certain political or religious ideas? For many of us, the answer is simple: family. These early loyalties are like the operating system installed in us when we're little. We grow up with them before we have the ability to question them. These are inherited tastes and beliefs. And the last element of this basic level, advertising. It's so obvious that sometimes we don't even see it. An ad shows you incredibly happy people drinking a soft drink and suddenly you're thirsty. We believe we're immune, that these things don't affect us. But if that were true, companies wouldn't spend billions on it. So the question is, why can a simple ad push buttons in our brain without us realizing it? Okay, let's recap this first level. We have trends, peer pressure, family influence, and advertising. Simple, right? This is what everyone knows, the tip of the iceberg floating in plain sight. But if this is what we see on the surface, what secret engines move it from below? What are the invisible gears that make all this work? It's time to dive in. Get ready for level 2. Level 2, the hidden mechanisms. Remember we talked about trends? Why do they work so well? Here's the first revelation. It's called social proof. Our brain is by nature a bit lazy. To save energy, it uses shortcuts. One of its favorites is, if a lot of people are doing it, it must be good. It's like your brain looks for 5-star reviews for every decision in your life, from what sneakers to buy to what opinion to hold. It's not that you're a copycat, it's that your brain is programmed to trust the crowd. Now let's talk about an invisible rule that governs how we behave, cultural norms. They are like society's unwritten script. For example, in some countries, it's polite to slurp your soup loudly to show you enjoy it. If you do that in others, you'll be looked at like a weirdo. Nobody gives you a manual for these rules, you simply absorb them from the air. And these norms dictate everything from how you greet someone to what you consider funny or in bad taste. Here's another mechanism. Your brain has a fascinating factory error. It's called confirmation bias. Do you know what it is? Imagine your brain isn't a scientist searching for truth, but a lawyer defending a client. And that client is you and your current beliefs. Your brain will actively seek out evidence that confirms what you already think and ignore what contradicts it. Social media is an expert at exploiting this, creating bubbles where you only see people who think like you, reinforcing your ideas until they seem like the only possible truth. To understand why we are this way, we need to tell a mini story from thousands of years ago. Imagine our ancestors on the savannah. Belonging to a tribe was everything. Imitating their customs, distrusting strangers, and defending the group wasn't an option. It was the only way to survive. That mental software of us versus them is still installed in our brains. Today, it's no longer a tribe, it's your soccer team, your political party, or the fans of your favorite artist. The mechanism is the same. And all of this, in the end, points to one of our deepest and most desperate needs, the need for belonging. Why are we so afraid to disagree? Why do we follow trends even if they seem ridiculous? Because our primate brain has an atrocious panic of being expelled from the group. In the past, loneliness was a death sentence. So when you adopt the tastes of your group, you're not just choosing a t-shirt, you're sending a signal to your brain that says, relax, we're safe, we belong. And here's the last gear of this level, and it's one that changes everything. There's an idea called mimetic desire, and it's brutally simple. We almost never desire things for their own sake. We desire things because we see another person desiring them. Think about the last phone you wanted. Did you want it for its specifications or because you saw cool people and influencers wanting it with all their might? We don't copy the object, we copy the desire. It's a contagion. And this completely redefines peer pressure and trends. So, as you see, these hidden mechanisms are much deeper than a simple "I'm influenced." They are the result of brain shortcuts, an ancient survival code, and this strange, contagious nature of desire. And beginning to understand these gears is the first step to being able to take control. But if you thought we had everything clear, get ready, because this is where the story turns into a true and wonderful chaos. It's time to enter Level 3. Level 3, the chaos of reality, debates and complexities. Here's the first big fight. Does an authentic you exist? One side says yes, that beneath all those layers of social influence, there's a core, an essence of you, unique and real. The other side says no, that you are those layers, that you are a collage, a mosaic of all the influences you've absorbed, and if you remove them all, nothing is left. Who is right? The debate remains open. Now let me tell you a secret. There's a myth we love to whisper to ourselves. Others are sheep, but I am different. I think for myself, it's a great story. It makes us the protagonists. Psychologists have a name for this, the illusion of asymmetric introspection. It's a complicated name for a simple idea. We believe we understand others perfectly, but that they don't understand us, and that we are much less conformist than the average person. The funny thing, almost everyone thinks exactly the same. Now let's think about a mind-bending paradox, the paradox of rebellion. Think of any subculture that is based on going against the current, punks, goths, hippies. Their identity is based on not being like the mainstream. But to prove it, they have to follow incredibly strict rules within their own group. The music they listen to, the clothes they wear, the attitude they have. So are they truly rebelling or just exchanging one uniform for another? It's a knot that's not easy to untie. And this leads us to a slightly uncomfortable ethical question. Today, brands no longer just sell you a product, they sell you an identity. Buy this car and you'll be an adventurer. Wear this perfume and you'll be irresistible. Drink this coffee and you'll be a conscious person. But wait a minute, is it okay for our identity, our sense of who we are, to become something that can be bought and sold? Are they empowering us, or are they turning our deepest need into a business? There's another idea that has changed a lot over time, the self-made man, the person who succeeds from nothing. A century ago, it was the supreme ideal. Today, that ideal is under full debate. We've begun to understand the gigantic role played by luck, birth privileges, the country where you grow up. The discussion is no longer whether it's possible, but whether it's a healthy ideal or a fantasy that generates frustration. And at the bottom of all this chaos, there's a question that connects us all as human beings. If much of our tastes and ideas are borrowed from society, where do we find an authentic meaning to life? If the passion of your life was actually subtly suggested to you by your environment, does that make it worth less? It's a huge existential question and it has no easy answer. As you can see, the reality of our identity is messy. It's full of contradictions, debates, and questions for which there's no single correct answer. It's a mess, but it's our mess. All right, you've survived the chaos. You've held on. Most people get off the train here, but you're still going. Now it's time to see the details that separate the curious from the true connoisseurs. Welcome to Level 4. Level 4, Expert Knowledge, Niche Secrets. Ready? Here's a concept you won't find in a quick search. Cultural capital. Imagine that, in addition to money, there's an invisible currency. This currency is your knowledge of certain elegant topics. Knowing about auteur cinema, understanding contemporary art, being able to differentiate types of wine. These aren't just tastes. They are signals, passwords that tell a specific social group, hey, I'm one of you. It's an incredibly powerful and subtle mechanism of social distinction. Now, a complex scientific detail, but with an analogy that makes it easy. Neuroscientists have discovered what happens in your brain when your opinion clashes with that of your group. A region called the anterior cingulate cortex activates. And what is that? Think of it as your brain's fire alarm. The panic button, it's the same area that activates when you feel physical pain. So literally for your brain, disagreeing with others feels like a mistake, like a danger, almost like a burn. Let's talk about a secret hero, a sociologist named Irving Goffman. Long before Instagram existed, this man had a revolutionary idea. He said that all our social life is like a play. We are all actors playing roles, the good student in class, the funny friend with the gang, the obedient child at home. We have a front for the audience and a backstage area where we can be ourselves. This genius predicted the idea of your online self versus your real self decades before the internet was invented. And now a rebel theory, one that few talk about. It's called hauntology. It's the idea that our current culture is no longer capable of creating a radically new future, and therefore it is haunted, bewitched, by the ghosts of futures that never arrived. Think about it, music sampling the 80s, movies that are reboots and remakes. It's as if we're trapped in a loop, remixing the past again and again. Our new tastes would in reality just be echoes of ghosts. Here's a scientific detail that goes totally against intuition, the Diderot effect. You'd think buying something new and nice makes you happy, right? Well, it often causes the opposite. You buy a cool new shirt and suddenly your old jeans look horrible. You buy new jeans and now your sneakers clash. That single purchase forces you to update everything else around it to maintain coherence. Your own possessions start putting peer pressure on you. And here's the piece that ties everything together, the aha moment. It's an idea from the early 20th century called the looking glass self. Get ready. Your sense of who you are is not based on what you think of yourself. It's based on what you imagine others think of you. Your identity is the reflection of a reflection that occurs within your own mind. This connects everything, the need for belonging, the brain's alarm of disagreement, cultural capital. Everything is a performance for an imaginary audience. Reaching this level of detail, understanding these profound mechanisms, isn't just about accumulating curious facts. It's like learning to see the source code of reality. For the first time, it allows you to truly understand the why behind every what in your social behavior. We have reached the limit of what is known. We are at the edge of the map of knowledge. Do you dare to look beyond, towards the final frontier, towards speculation and wonder? Level 5, the final frontier, speculation and wonder. Let's look to the future. In 100 years, what if your identity is no longer built by you, but co-created with artificial intelligence? Imagine a personal assistant that analyzes all your data and suggests what hobbies, what friends, and even what beliefs would make you happier and more socially successful. Would we be willing to outsource the creation of ourself in exchange for a better life? Now, the deepest question, the one current science cannot answer. If a human being could grow up in total isolation, without contact with any other consciousness, fed and cared for by robots, would they develop a sense of self? Or is the very sensation of being an individual, a someone, something that can only be born from collision and reflection with others? It's an experiment that, for ethical reasons, we can never conduct. So perhaps we'll never know. And this leads us to a mind-blowing philosophical implication. What if the self is not a thing, but a story? A narrative that your brain invents and constantly tells itself to bring order to the chaos of perceptions and sensations. And there is no reader of that story. The story itself is the reader. You are not a noun, you are a verb, a process that never stops. This idea not only questions your identity, it dissolves it. If we combine this with the future of humanity, we arrive at something crucial. Remember that tribal us versus them software we saw at the beginning? It was useful for surviving on the savannah, but today it is the root of our biggest problems: war, racism, polarization. Perhaps, just perhaps, deeply understanding that our identities are constructions, that they are flexible and not absolute truths, is the key to finally updating that software and starting to see them as part of a much larger us. And here's the last idea, the most provocative. Perhaps the goal of life is not to find your true self as if it were a hidden treasure. Perhaps the real power lies in realizing that you have the freedom to choose and construct it. And perhaps the most authentic decision you can make is to be aware of what influences, what ideas, and what people you choose to help you write that story that is you. And with that, the journey ends. We have covered all 5 levels, from the most obvious surface to the abyss of speculation. Now that we've ascended, it's time to contemplate the complete picture with new eyes. It's incredible to think that we started this journey talking about something as simple and everyday as why you like specific sneakers. And now here we are, wondering if our self is just a story we tell ourselves, and if true authenticity consists of consciously choosing the materials with which we build our own identity. We have moved from a TikTok trend to the very essence of consciousness. That is the transformation you have just experienced. And now I ask you directly, of all this crazy journey we've taken, from the invisible rules of society to these philosophical ideas that leave you thinking, which one impacted you the most? What idea kept buzzing in your head? I truly want to know. Leave it in the comments because I love reading your reflections. And if you like these deep dives to question everything, hit the subscribe button because I assure you we have many more universes to explore together. Thank you for your time.